I welcome you all in RC design class. So in this lecture I shall discuss design example using the Livingston method. You know that RC design has mainly two type of problems. That two type of problem you have to solve. So the two type of problems are considered. One is analysis type of problem, another is design type of problems. In analysis type of problem, the such type of problem has one and unique solution, whereas design problem has many solution. So already we have discussed. So in previous lecture we have discussed the how the analysis type of problems are solved, and in this lecture, so here we are going to discuss the design example. So we are mainly deal with design problem. So and you know that the design problem has many solution. Okay, so the design problem has many solution. This solution depend on design parameters. Okay, what are the design parameters? Design parameters are like grade of concrete, grade of steel, then uh, then the clear cover. Okay, so those are the different design parameters are involved. So if the design parameters are changed, the solution is also changed. The second point that you have to remember, so that is an iteration process. So in so already you have learned in structural analysis, when you do the moment distribution, so that time the iteration process are performed to get the final moments, to get the moments and shear forces. So you already know the iteration process. So in design also the iteration process are used to find out the suitable section. So in iteration process, first what we do, first we assume a dimension of member. So because in design we do not know the size of the member, because here in design problem the dimensions are not given. So you have to assume a dimension of a member. Means suppose for beam generally the rectangular sections are used. So suppose I use 250 into 500. Now this section is this section under load we check with respect of ultimate strength point of view, whether whether the assumed section has adequate strength or not, sufficient strength or not, that we have to check with respect of ultimate strength point of view and the serviceability point of view. So if if the assumed section does not fulfill the criteria, design criteria, means the ultimate strength criteria and serviceability criteria, then what happened? Then you need to increase the size of the member. Okay, again you check. So again you check, again if it is not satisfied, then again you need to increase the section. So in this way finally we arrive to the suitable section. So this is an iteration process. So number of steps you have to perform, and so this is an iteration process. The third point is design is a trial and error method. So what means, this is also related with iteration process. So first, so suppose we have assumed a section and which is not satisfied the ultimate strength criteria and serviceability criteria, then we find out the error. So what error comes, that we check. So in the next step we eliminate the error, means that we increase the section and this error is eliminated. Okay, so and so in that way the error is eliminated, and number of steps you have to perform, and when the two successive steps, when the error is minimum, so that time we stop the iteration. Okay, and this is the suitable, this is the section we use for design. So this is the error. In each step error will come and the error has to be eliminated, and to the next step, and when it is converged, means when the two successive steps result comes close, so that time we stop the iteration. Okay, so this is our trial and error method. And also design should be economic and cost effective. You cannot use very large section for a member. Okay, so if you use a big if you use a large size, then it is uneconomic, then it become uneconomic. So you have to give a section for a design in such a way so that it should be economic and cost effective. Okay, means the appropriate section you have to use in design. Okay, so this point is very important, the economic and cost effective. And also one thing, so this point always you follow, that is 100% safety also you have to maintain. So maintaining the safety, you give a member which is economic and cost effective. Okay, maintaining the safety. So those 4 points you have to remember when you design a member. So design problem has many solutions. It means the solution is varying and it depends on design parameter. The second thing is that design is an iteration process. This is a trial and error method. So in every step we eliminate the errors, and when the results are converged, when the error is minimum, so that time we stop the iteration. And the last point, this last but not least, this point is very very important. This design should be economic and cost effective. So you have to, what sections you use, that should be economic and cost effective. So in this slide I shall discuss brief design steps. The details design steps are explained later. So here the brief design steps are mentioned. So what are the design steps? So first step is size of beam as the size of beams are not given, so first you assume the size of beam. So after that you estimate load means the how much load comes to the member, that you calculate. Suppose this is a beam, simply supported beam, and the load comes, so if I consider in a building frame structures, so load transfer from slab to beam, and if any wall is raised over beam, so this wall load is also considered as a wall load is also subjected to the beam. Live load is also transferred to beam. So that here the load you have to calculate how much. It may be UDL, it may be trapezoidal, it may be triangular, it may be linearly varying load, so whatever, or it may be point load. Okay, so what load comes to the member, that you calculate. So this is a second step, estimate load, how much load comes to the member, that you calculate. After that the analysis is performed, means after that analysis is performed. So generally the beams, if I consider beam, if generally beams are designed for flexor and shear, so find out the maximum bending moment, find out the maximum shear forces. So when the analysis is done, so after that we start design. Okay. So so now this slide, the problem, simply supported beam problem is given, design problem is given. So here the problem is design a simply supported beam of having clear span of 4 meter, supported on 300 mm thick wall, superimposed dead load is 15 kN per meter, live load 10 kN per meter, self weight of beam is not considered of above mentioned dead load, and grade of concrete is M20, grade of steel is Fe500. So you see that the figure is shown here. The clear span is 4 meter. Clear span means this is a face to face distance. It's the from face of the support to face of the support. This distance is called clear span. Clear means the clearly visible distance. This distance, this span is given 4 meter, and which is based on 300 thick wall, thick masonry wall. The two loads are applied. One is dead load, where in dead load the weight of beam is not included. Okay, so that you have to calculate separately and add with dead load, because the weight of beam is a dead load, because this is a dead load, means dead load is a permanent load. The self weight of beam is also a dead load, so this weight you have to calculate and add with dead load. So here the weight of beams are not considered in dead load. So what dead load is given. simply supported beam, so means this beam is just raised over the support. Okay, it is the support condition is pinned or hinge support. Okay, it is hinged, means it will not move vertically and as well as horizontally. Okay, so this support is hinged. So generally beams are designed, beam is a horizontal member which are mainly designed for flexor, means the bending moment, and for shear. So beams are mainly designed for shear and bending moment, and beams are designed for maximum bending moment and maximum shear forces. So maximum bending moment take place at the middle, because the maximum bending moment take place at the middle, and whereas the maximum shear force develop at the support. So we design the beam for maximum bending moment and shear forces. This is step 1. So in design problem, the steps are very important, so that you have to remember, and if you follow the steps, then you complete the design. So step is very important. So in step 1, so what you do in step 1, you find out effective depth from the assumed size and diameter. As we have said that first you assume size of the beam, because the size of the beams are not given. The diameter of main bar also given, so that you get after design, so that you have to assume, and the diameter of the vertical stirrup. So this is stirrups which are used to resist the shear forces, and also to make the reinforcement cage to keep the main bar in position. So this confinement is required, otherwise when the concreting is done, that time bar can be displaced. So the cage has to be made properly, and this should be confined. Okay, and the stirrup, so that's why the stirrup is required. Okay, the stirrups are mainly used to resist shear forces, and this is the hanger bar. In the compression zone, these bars are used. Main bars are used because main bars are used in tensile zone, because the beam is the sagging bending moment take place. The sagging bending moment take place, so below the neutral axis the tensile stresses is developed, and to improve the tensile strength of the section, the bar is placed in the tensile zone. Okay, and how the bar are placed? Leaving the clear cover. This distance is called clear cover. Okay, so the main bars are placed, and the stirrups are used around the main bar. Okay, so here the size of the beam we have assumed. So generally in beam design you assume a higher section, which is 250 into 500, and then you diameter of the main bar we have considered 16.5. So mainly in building, generally the 16.5 is a standard diameter of the bar which are commonly used in beam. So that's why the main bar diameter we have considered 16.5, and again the stirrup diameter, generally the 8.5 is a standard and the commonly used diameter of the stirrup, that is 8.5, that I have assumed. Let us consider clear cover which is 25 mm. So this distance is clear cover. So clear cover, you know the function of clear cover that we have already explained. So the clear cover is 25 mm considered. So we calculate the effective depth. So effective depth is measured from the centroid of the tensile steel. This is a steel, from the centroid of the steel to the topmost compression fiber. So this distance is called effective depth. So the overall depth is 500 d, then minus 25 is the clear cover, then diameter of the stirrup minus diameter of the, and this is as it is centroid of the bar, then half of the main dia, so which is equal to 459 mm. So this is the effective depth. Step 1, we calculate effective depth from the assumed size and diameter of main bar and vertical stirrup. So in step 2 we calculate effective span. So that is also very important. So the effective span, to find out, to calculate, to compute the effective span, the guidelines are given in IS 456/2000. So what guidelines are given, which is given in page number 34, IS 456/2000, clause number 22.2. So you just go through code and read the effective span. What provisions are given, that you check. So in simply supported beam or slab, the effective span of a member that is not built integrally, means it is not built integrally with the support, taken as clear span plus the effective depth of slab or beam or center to center of support, whichever is less. Means so L effective is how much? As per code, 4 is the clear span, which is the clear span, plus effective depth is how much? 0.459, which is 4.459 meter, and the center to center distance between support 4.3 meter, because the support width is 300. So center to center means the 150 from each support. So clear span is 4, so this is 150 and another 150 on right side. Okay, so 150 plus 150, 300. So we get the 4.3 meter. Again I show you, this is the center to center distance. Okay. So as per code, clear span plus effective depth or center to center distance between support, whichever is less. Okay, so least value is adopted, so the effective span is 4.3 meter. Next we find out combined load, factor load, because this is a Livingston method design. The factor load is considered, and also we perform the analysis. We find out the bending moment and shear forces. So here it is in problem, the cell point of beam is not included in dead load. So first we calculate weight of beam and that we add in dead load. So from what sections we have assumed, so what is the weight of assumed section weight, that we calculate and that we add with given dead load. Okay, so self weight of beam is, this is the size of beam, overall depth is 500 into 25. 0.25 is the 250 is the width of beam and 500 is the depth of beam. That we multiply with the unit weight of RCC, unit weight of reinforced concrete, that is unit weight of reinforced cement RCC. Okay, so the unit weight of RCC is how much? That is 25. Again it is given in IS 875 part 1 dead load, and the for plain concrete the unit weight is how much? That is 24 kilonewton per meter cube. Unit weight of RCC is 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So we multiply the unit weight of RCC and we get the load per meter run. Superimposed load is given, that is 15 kilonewton per meter. So the total dead load is, we add it, and which is 18.125. Live load is 10 kilonewton per meter given. Now we combine the load using the table 18. Okay, the load combination is done. So in design we only consider, so in this problem we consider only dead load and live load, so that these two loads are combined, means the add. So that we add, then we get the design load applying load factor. So load factor is how much for dead load and live load? You see that it is how much? 1.5 is considered. So 1.5 into combined load, dead load plus live load or imposed load, which is equal to 42.2 kilonewton per meter. This table is given in page number 68, IS 456/2000. Next, we find out bending moment and shear forces. So you see that this is a beam, and the effective span is considered, that is how much? That we have already computed from the code, that is 4.3 meter. Okay, 4.3 meter. Now this is the bending moment. As the UDEL is applied, so bending moment is parabolically varying, and it is maximum at mid span. Then it is, after that it is reducing, and finally it zero at the support, because this end is hinged, so it will not resist any moment. So that's why at the support the moment is 0, and as it is simply supported means the end are hinged or pinned. Okay, so pinned means the pin or hinge support has no ability to resist the moment. Okay, so that's why the moment is 0 at the support and maximum at the mid span. And such type of bending moment is the sagging bending moment. The sagging bending moment take place. So it means you have to apply the reinforcement at the bottom. Okay, so such type of sagging bending moment took place. Okay, such type of bending moment took place, sagging. Okay, so due to sagging, the tensile stress is developed below neutral axis, so apply the reinforcement at the bottom side. So the expression is WL square by 8. Okay, the maximum bending moment which is occurred at the middle and equal to WL square by 8. L means that is L effective. Effective span has to be considered. So effective span is 4.3. We get the ultimate moment 97.5 applied moment, and shear force is varying linearly. Okay, it is maximum at support, and then it is decreasing, and it is 0 at middle, again it is increasing, and maximum at support. Okay, so shear force is maximum 60.5. Now the beams are designed for maximum bending moment and shear forces. So why the beams are designed for maximum bending moment and shear forces? Because suppose what sections we have considered, that is 250 into 500. If this beam, this section resists maximum bending moment, and generally the uniform sections are used, so automatically the other point are also automatically safe. If the 250 into 500, this section is safe under maximum bending moment and maximum shear forces, then automatically the lesser bending moment are also automatically satisfied. Okay, because this is designed for maximum bending moment, so the less moment are automatically it can resist easily lesser moment. And generally the uniform sections are used. Uniform means the thickness is constant. Okay, thickness or depth of beam is constant, so uniform sections are used. So if this section is this section resist this moment, maximum moment, then the lesser moment are also, this section can resist lesser moment also. So in step 4, we find out size of beam using the limiting condition. Okay, so using the limiting condition means balance condition. So using the balance condition, what is the minimum depth required, that we find out. What is the minimum limiting depth required, that we find out. Okay, using this expression. So this expression is given in IS 456-2000, page number 96. Okay, so this expression is given in Annex G, page number 96. So using this expression, and the XU max by D is equal to 0.46 in page number 71. So these values are given. We are using the 500. So the XU max by D value is 0.46. So now all parameters are known. B is also known. B is considered 250. So what is the minimum depth? What is the limiting depth required? That we find out. So this is how much? This is 382.03 mm. Means the to resist this moment 97.5 kilonewton meter, you need this much of effective depth. Okay, that you have to provide. you cannot use lesser than this lesser than this value. Okay, you have to provide minimum this one to resist maximum moment. Okay, very now the same result can be obtained using the handbook SP16. So SP16 means SP is the special publication that already we have explained about the SP16, why the SP16s are when SP16s are required and what are the uses of SP16. Basically SP16 tables, charts are prepared from the IS 456 guideline and equation. So here the tables are given. So for different, you see that in table D, page number 10, for different grade of concrete and for different grade of steel, the mu limiting by BD square, the unit is Newton per millimeter square. So first we calculate mu limiting by BD square. Okay, the mu limiting by BD square is how much for grade of concrete? 20, and Fe 500 how much? This is 2.66. Okay, so the value is considered from the table D, and from that expression we get the value of D, which is 382.9, which is exactly same as we have computed from the IS 456 equation. Okay. So basically, so you see that, so why so when the SP16s are used, basically this so you see that if I use SP16, so we do not need we do not need to calculate so the calculations, detailed calculations are not required. Simply using the table we can get the effective depth. Okay, so no detailed calculations are required. So it will, so if I use SP16, then the less time or time take less. So time is taking less if I use SP16. Now, so the reference is SP16 page number 10 table D. So the same data, same depth we get as we get from IS 456 equation. So basically this table is prepared. You can also make the table using the IS 456 equation for different grade of concrete and grade of steel. These parameters value you can get. Okay. Now let us provide size of beam is 250 into 500. Okay, so what comes? This is effective depth. So D provided is how much? 500 minus 25 minus 8 minus 16 by 2. Similarly, we get the 459. So now the D provided is less than this is greater than D limiting. So hence, okay, as greater D is provided than D limiting, hence section is under reinforced. Okay, you know that the balance section you cannot use balance section because the what overall depth comes using the limiting D. You see that this is not a realistic, is the 382 minus 82.9 plus of, if I find out the overall limiting depth 25 plus 8 plus 8. So what we get? So 380, 407, so 423.9 millimeter. So which is not a feasible dimension. This is not a practical value. Okay. So that's why this under reinforced sections are balance sections are not used, although this is most economic section because that you have to provide. Okay, so but this is not a practical dimension, practical size. Okay, so that's why higher sections are used, and and the 459 mm is the effective depth and overall depth is 500. Now the interesting thing is when we use the greater D than delimiting or balance, the section become under reinforced. Okay. Okay, so that if check, so generally when the provided D is more than limiting D, the section become under reinforced. That you check. So later we also check that the under reinforced condition. So here the note you remember the note that it is a thumb rule to make the section under reinforced, but it is a good practice to check the under reinforced section condition later. Okay, it's a thumb rule. Okay, otherwise you have to check whether the section is under reinforced or over reinforced. That you have to check using that condition, XU less than XU max. If the depth of neutral axis is less than limiting depth of neutral axis, then section is under reinforced. That you know. So it is a thumb rule, okay, to make the under reinforced. So it is a thumb rule, but good practice is to check the under reinforced condition later. Okay, so that you may check or may not, but if, when you provide more than D limiting, the section become under reinforced. So in exam purpose, use IS 456 formulae to determine delimiting. So don't use SP16 table. Use IS 456 equation to determine limiting depth or minimum depth. But in project or design session, use SP16 to get the value, because the SP16, if I use SP16, it reduce the time, it reduce the design time. So we can get the value easily without detailed calculation. But in exam purpose, use the IS 456 equation to determine delimiting. So in step 5, so you see that in step 4 we find out, we compute the what size is required, that we calculate. Now in step 5 we calculate area of steel using the IS 456 equation. As the section is under reinforced, so we use this equation. This equation you can use to find out area of steel. So here the mu is known, so all the parameters are known, only the AST is unknown. So we find out AST. So this is a quadratic equation, so you have to solve the quadratic equation. Otherwise you use this simplified formula to compute steel which is derived from above. This expression already I have derived in previous lecture. So this formula you can use, because if I use this formula then it will take time. You can easily calculate, you can easily find out area of steel. Okay, so you can easily get the area of steel using that formula. So PT by 100 is equal to FCK upon 2 Fy, 2 times Fy, 1 minus root over of 1 minus 4.598 R by FCK, where R is mu by BD square, the unit is Newton per millimeter square. So we calculate R mu by BD square 97.5 into 10 to the power 6 by 250 into D square, which is equal to 1.85 Newton per millimeter square. Now PT by 100, now the all parameters are known, so which is equal to 0.0048. Now PT is how much? 0.48, means the amount of steel required, that is 0.48 percentage. The PT, you know, percentage of tensile steel, which is amount of the percentage of steel in cross section. The expression is 100 into AST by BD. Okay, B is the width of B, D is the effective depth. Now from that expression we get the required steel is how much? 550.8 millimeter square. Now the diameter of main bar we assume that is 16.5. So the number of bar required, how many bars are required? You see that AST required, the amount of steel divided by area of single bar. Okay, area of single bar is how much? That is pi by 4, a circular section. So the area of bar is pi by 4 into 16 square, and we get the number of bars, that is 2.74 number. So you cannot use 2.74 number bar. So here the note is given, use simplified formula to compute AST. To save the time, use the simplified, because this is design is a lengthy process. So here the time require so you need a more practice and also it will take time. So that's why, so in exam or you simplified formula you can use to save the time to compute area of steel. Otherwise time required, time took more. If I use this IS code formula, which is a quadratic equation that you have to solve. So now let us provide, so as we the number of bars required 2.7, so you cannot use 2.7, so you have to provide more. So that's why we provide 3 numbers, 16.5 main bar at the bottom, because the sagging bending movement took place. So the bar is provided at the bottom. So AST provided is how much? 3 into pi by 4 D square. Now the same results you can get using the SP16. So in SP16 similarly this table is prepared using the IS 456 formula. Now you see that, so mu by BD square, this parameter is required, because you see that in table 2 flexure reinforcement percentage PT for singly reinforced section and grade of concrete is 20. So in table 2, go to table 2 and page number 48. So this parameter we calculate 1.5. So for 1.585 the value is, this is 1.85, the value is for Fe 500 0.484, okay, 0.48, which is almost same as we get from IS 456 2000 code formula, okay. So the same result we can get using the SP16. So you see that if I use SP16, then we can save time, and so that detailed calculations are not required. So from table we can get directly result. You can get result from the table 2. You can get value from table 2 without detailed calculation. But in exam use IS 456 equation or formulae to find out area of steel, okay. But in project and the sessional you may use SP16. Here you see that for 1.85 this value is taken, and for any intermediate value, Mr. suppose 1.80, suppose your value comes 1.83. So what value you consider? So the linear interpolation has been made, okay. So you see that this difference, find out this difference, and what is the difference comes. So linear interpolation is made to get the PT for any intermediate value, okay. So for any intermediate value, linear interpolation has been made. Now this is not necessary, but we check, find out, check the section, so whether this section is under enforced or over enforced, that we check, because we are using the thumb rule to make the section under enforced. So now this is the check we have made to check the section. So check the type of section, what type of sections comes after giving the what sections we have used and what steels are used. So after giving all things, so the what is the section that we check. So this value XU, depth of neutral axis, we get from the page number 96 in Annex G. So limiting depth is obtained using the Codal expression, which is 211.14 mm. So XU less than XU max, the section is under enforced, okay. So generally the over enforced sections are not used, so only the two sections are left, balance section and under enforced section. So balance section is not a practical section, so only the one section is left, so that is under enforced section, because to ensure the ductile failure you have to provide under enforced section, okay. Even balance section, because in balance section the concrete and steel both are reaching to the limiting strain. So if the failure occur, then the brittle failure will occur. But in under enforced section, as the steel fail fast, so the ductile failure will occur. So and as per code, the design member should fail in a ductile way. So to ensure the ductile failure, you have to provide under enforced section. So this note here, the check section is not necessary step. So in step 6 we find out strength. So what section we provide and what steels we use. So using the sections and using the steel, what is the moment resistance that we calculate. So using the expression, this expression again we use from the page number 96. As the section is under reinforced, so we get the moment. This is the moment resistance is how much? 104.6 km per meter, which is more than mu applied. So means the strength is okay. Means this section is this section can carry the load safely. So this is the strength is adequate. So we have checked the strength. Okay, if it is less than mu applied, then you have to redesign, because this is not carry the load as the strength criteria is not fulfilled. So the strength is okay. Now in step 7, so this is a serviceability criteria, because already we have said that the member should fulfill what sections we use, what reinforcement we apply, that should fulfill two limit state, that should fulfill strength criteria and the deflection criteria. So in step 7, if we check the deflection, so go to page number 37 and 38. So you see that here the deflection limit are given for the different beams. For cantilever beam, the span to effective depth ratio, the ratio of span to effective depth, span means that is effective span, to effective depth ratio for spans up to 10 meter. The effective span up to 10 meter, the deflection limit are given. So what sections we have used, that should be within allowable, that should be within, this is called the allowable deflection, that should be within allowable deflection. So the different type of beams are given, and for different type of beam the deflection limit are given. So here you see that for cantilever beam the deflection limit is 7, and for simply supported beam the deflection is 20, for continuous 26, for span above 10 meter. So this here the span is 4.3 meters, so this span is less than 10 meters. So this provision is not applied to this problem. Now that this problem, this point you have to consider, depending on the area of stress of steel for tension reinforcement, the values in A or B shall be modified by multiplying with modification factor obtained as per figure 4. So in from figure 4 you find out the modification factor, and this modification factor is multiplied with this above value. And similarly for compression reinforcement also, if the section is doubly reinforced section, so that time also the modification factor is also multiplied. So this is for compression reinforcement, means if the section is doubly reinforcement, that time again the modification factor is computed and multiplied with above value. So here this allowable value is given for, as it is simply supported beam, so the deflection value given 20, then you multiply modification factor for percentage of this is for tensile reinforcement, is the singly reinforced, and then you multiply Kc, this is for doubly reinforced section. So to obtain the Kt you need to calculate Pt and Fs. So you see that this figure, this is a modification factor you have to calculate. So here the two axes given. So in x-axis the percentage of tension reinforcement given. So you see that the each square, that is 0.2, okay, 0.2, 0.4, 6, 0.8, 0.9 on 1, 1.2. So percentage of tensile reinforcement you need, and this has to be find out. This is Fs, which is equal to 0.58 into Fy into area of cross section of steel required by AST provided. Now the required value we know, that is 550.8. So in step 5 we calculate, we have already calculated the how much steel are required, that we calculate, that is 550.8, and the provide is how much, 602.88. Fy value is how much, 500. So the Fs value is 264.9. Now you see that, so here the curves are given, the parabolic curves are given for different stress, for different Fs value. So it start from 120, 145, 190, 240 and 290. Now the Fs value is 264.9, so it is between 240 and 290, okay. So we assume a curve between 240 and 290. So in this way we assume a curve between 240 and 290, okay. At the PT value is how much? PT value is 0.53. So this is 0.6. So it means 53. This one. Now the approximately you calculate how much. So we draw the vertical line which cut this assumed curve which lies between 290 and 240. Now we get the modification factor, approx you by estimation you find out what is the modification factor, approximately you calculate. So you see that it is approx 1.1, and so as this is single reinforced section, so the percentage of compressive reinforcement is 0, so Kc value is 1, so the L by D allowable is 20 into Kt into Kc, which is equal to 22. Now the L by D provided is how much? This is effective span, and the effective depth provided 459, so the value is 9.4, which is less than L by D allowable. So it means hence okay. So this is important step that you have to check. So what sections we have used for design, whether it fulfill strength or deflection, that you have to check. So so we have checked strength, and here we check the serviceability, means the deflection we have checked using the Codal provision. So this is the allowable value given. So allowable value, so provided values always less or equal to allowable.